Hey, Salvador Briggman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified YouTube channel. And today I want to talk about e-commerce for beginners. So if you are a beginner out there, you've never sold anything online, you're not sure where you should go when it comes to selling a product, or you want to explore alternative things like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, crowdfunding as a way to get funding for an e-commerce business, or even maybe some other stuff like equity crowdfunding, I'm going to be covering that all on this video. Okay, so there are different stages which you could be at. For example, at the beginning stage, you could not yet have a product or a prototype of any kind, and you're still thinking like, okay, what should I sell? So I'm first gonna talk about that, and then we're gonna get into the next stage is what if you have a product or a prototype? How do you take it to the next stage? How do you mass produce this thing? And finally, we'll talk about creating an actual e-commerce brand and an e-commerce business. So that's kind of how I'm going to break up today's YouTube video. So let's just say you do not yet have an idea of what it is that you want to sell. What are some good ways to begin to start with that? First of all products, whatever it is, you can look around your house, no matter the product, it always solves some type of problem. A chair solves the problem that people get lazy and they want to sit down, A camera case solves the problem of making sure that when you drop your phone, it doesn't instantly break, or protects your phone in general throughout life. This particular camera case also has a rechargeable battery, so when I'm on the phone a lot with coaching calls that I have regularly, then I make sure my phone doesn't die, right? Every product solves a problem. Problem A of breaking my phone, or problem B of needing good battery life. Every product solves a problem. A pen is meant to, write down thoughts and ideas. A really nice pen is maybe meant to not only do that, but also to impress people, impress clients if you're doing like a real estate job or something like that. Every product solves problems. The way you generate product ideas is to think about the problems that you experience in your own life. And as you're going through life, you're naturally going to be using different products to solve different problems. Take a mug, for example. You go, you get your morning coffee, this solves a problem. The way that really good product ideas come from is to rethink an existing product. So we see this mug here. This is from George Washington University, where I went to school in Washington, DC. And we see the general look and design of this mug. What are some ways we could improve this, right? Well, we could maybe have it hold more liquid. It could be larger. Maybe the design will look different. Maybe it's more elegant. Could have more like an Asian style or something like that to the design. Maybe it's from a different material. So this is ceramic. What if we had like a stainless steel mug? Well, then obviously you can't really put it in the microwave. So you start to think about this, or are there ways that the way that we are using this product, we could reinvent it or rethink it? That is the fastest way to generate new product ideas, and where most of them come from. Have you ever watched like those TV infomercials with new product idea that helps you do X, Y, and Z, right? That's one of the easiest ways. The next easiest way is to add in functionality to an existing product. What do I mean by that? Well, this product solves one problem, right? It allows me to drink coffee, stay caffeinated for you guys who are part of my YouTube channel. What if there were some other things? What if the bottom of it had an automatic heat conductor of some kind, like electronic heat thing that kept it warm? And that way I wouldn't have to worry about always going to the microwave and heating up my coffee when I haven't been paying attention for it for a very long time. That's an example of now, not only does the coffee, the problem solved is you can drink the coffee, but the other problem is now I don't have to keep heating up the coffee. You can look at Shark Tank. There are some examples of products that you put in like these little, almost like ice cubes into the coffee. They're stainless steel and they maintain the temperature of the coffee. I don't know if I forget the name of it exactly. You can maybe post that in the comments down below what the name of that is. They're like these little jewels. So the second fastest way to come up with product ideas is to take existing products and add on more functionality. So like this one, the really easy example, normally it protects phones, added extra functionality of recharging, right? Or other stuff you can see like, Beats headphones, right? So it has maybe one function of listening to music. Then Beats headphones came along and they're like, you know what? We should also have noise canceling. So that if you're on a flight, you maybe don't want to listen to music, but you're not going to hear the baby crying next to you on the flight. because you have some Beats headphones. And these actually are amazing, right? They cancel out so much music and so much noise in general. I love these. So the second easiest way is to rethink the product design. And the first one is rethink product design. Second one is to rethink functionality by adding in other functionality. Now, another example, just really quickly before we get into the third, of this would be like the coolest cooler. If you might have heard of this product on Kickstarter that raised millions of dollars. It's multifunctional. It's not only a cooler, it's like a bottle opener. It has all these other functions in it. The easiest way to begin to iterate on product is to add in functionality and have like a multi-tool. There was a heated jacket that was doing well on Kickstarter, raised like millions of dollars, right? A jacket that also comes heated, right? It's expanding on the functionality. So this is really the golden rule, the second way of creating new product ideas. The third is more genuine inspiration. And by that, I mean like invention, right? So this is usually not where most e-commerce goers want to go, but I'm just going to very quickly touch on it. And that's if you have completely thought of a new solution to a product, that is basically, in my mind, an invention. And that is technically part of e-commerce, but it's not most people out there. Most inventors are more on the engineering side or science side, that kind of stuff, or highly creative, right? I'm definitely not in that camp. But examples of inventions, before the smartphone, what is Apple? There were more normal like Palm Pilots that use a stylus. There were texting devices, but there was nothing like the iPhone, which is a completely new invention, basically, in my eyes. Before candles, there was no light bulb, and then the light bulb came along, and Thomas Edison invented that. That's a completely new solution, almost a paradigm shift. And I tend to categorize these by, this is kind of like a minor improvement. It's definitely, I'd say a 30, if not a 40% improvement. Inventions are like another level. They're like a 10x improvement. And that's why they're also so lucrative. If you come up with an invention and it's like a league of improvements better, it's a very lucrative, potentially product that you can sell a lot of if it really does solve a problem much more significantly and much better. Aside from product creation, the other way to get started with e-commerce is not to create a product, but is to sell someone else's product. And we call this retail, right? So there are different ways you can sell other people's products. You could do something, well, I'll just throw out a couple terms like drop shipping, white labeling, retailing. These are all examples of selling other people's products. So if you go down to the deli, if you're in Manhattan, and you go and buy a candy bar, the deli owner did not make that candy bar. He bought a bunch of them and he's retailing them. He's reselling them. Someone else made that candy bar and someone else also packaged it, and likely another company also wholesaled and sold it, right? So you as an e-commerce creator don't necessarily have to make your own products. You just got to sell someone else's products. So when it comes to selling other people's products, there are just a few different camps. One is retail, where you're literally buying like a bunch of quantities of this product and you're selling it. The hard part with that when it comes to online stores is that usually the traditional person who made the product already has an online store. So it doesn't always make very much sense to do that. The second is that a lot of people will do this, but they'll do it under more of a white labeling model, right? So they'll go and they'll like buy product from Alibaba and they'll just like put a logo or slap a logo on it. Or they'll buy products from someone else and they'll just customize it like a little bit or change a little bit of stuff with it and then they'll resell it, right? So that's another route that you can go that's a little bit less time, but on the flip side, it's super easy to duplicate. You don't have as big of a margin of safety. Warren Buffett calls it a moat around your business competitive advantage. It's harder to get a patent on it if someone else obviously owns the design for it and they're just kind of giving you the ability to sell it. And finally, there's drop shipping as well, where like you're going directly to the factory. The factory is the one who's producing the product, and they're also shipping it out to your customers. The downside to that route is you can't really customize packaging very much. So traditionally, I'd say more so, going on like Alibaba and having a minimum order quantity and having inventory and then selling it. That's usually more of a traditional sense. The people who are doing that did not make the product. Or if they did, it's a very small iteration on the existing product, right? So they're really just selling, they're doing e-commerce, they're doing online business. Most of that comes from marketing, comes from packaging. Maybe they're an influencer who just are, kind of selling it that way. That's really where the secret sauce comes with that. The final part with this e-commerce model, before we get into the next part, is affiliate marketing. And I kind of lumped this into e-commerce, but you can sell other people's products via affiliate marketing. And in that way, you almost just take a commission, right, of the sale. That's much more in the marketer's sphere. I wouldn't even say like that deals a lot at all with logistics that you might traditionally deal with e-commerce. So I'm not gonna talk or touch too much on that. I wanna get into the next stage, which is you already have a prototype or you already have something to sell. That's what we're gonna cover next. This YouTube video is sponsored by The Gadget Flow. The Gadget Flow reaches over 28 million people and they've been around since 2012. They're Indiegogo and Kickstarter experts. They featured over 5,000 crowdfunding campaigns. If you have a tech or design campaign, it is a great platform to generate awareness and get backers. Check them out at thegadgetflow.com/submit and list your project today. Okay, so you already have a prototype, right? What are the next steps? Well, number one, you could take your savings or take money from investors or take a loan funding amount, and you can purchase a minimum order quantity of that product. If you already have a prototype made, you design the product yourself, let's just say, you can take that money and you can purchase the minimum order quantity, then you have a bunch of inventory, and then you can sell that using a store like Shopify. I have a great Shopify tutorial. You can go check it out in my channel on a Shopify tutorial. That's one way. Another is if you're reselling other people's products, there's probably also some kind of a minimum order quantity that comes with that in order to get a wholesaling price, right? So they'd sell a retail price, MSRP, for this amount, and you're gonna wholesale and buy in bulk for this amount, kind of like what a deli owner might do. But instead, you're doing that online, and maybe you're doing your own branding and adding your own touch and feel and branding to that actual product to sell it under your own label, right? So when it comes to this, there are a few different routes. One is obviously funding it yourself. The downside of that, your savings goes down. Two, you can get a loan from a bank. They probably are gonna want some type of collateral. So if you don't pay back the loan, you lose the collateral and you have monthly payments. Another would be getting traditional investors. Now you'd have to find the right people, you'd have to find angel investors, maybe venture capitalists. If you have a very broad vision for the company, you wanna sell this someday, you wanna go IPO, that might be a good route for you. The last route is, and I think honestly the best route, is using a medium or using a platform like Kickstarter or Indiegogo. This is what's called crowdfunding. So with crowdfunding, you actually raise money just using the prototype and some marketing. And in that way, you get all the funding you need to go and purchase the minimum order quantity that's needed so you can fulfill these orders in a mass-produced way. So it really solves a lot of the problems, and why I think it's an invention, it's a massive invention for people like yourself if you want to sell your own prototype and your own product that way. So not only do you get the funding you need to do the minimum order quantity, you also get a heck of a lot of marketing, brand exposure, you get that initial base of customers, you get traffic, you do a pre-launch, you get tons and tons of people interested in the project, and also you open this up to strangers. And finally, when you ship out the product, you get tons of qualitative feedback on it as well. You hear from those early adopter customers who not only want to own the product, but they also want to talk about it. They want to tell you what they like about it, what they don't like. And it's an invaluable testing mechanism and give you tremendous amounts of validation. And that's why I'm so passionate about it, and I've made it my career, why I've written the book, The Kickstarter Launch Formula, why my whole channel is about crowdfunding, is because it solves so many problems that I find plague many beginning e-commerce store entrepreneurs. Now, if you don't want to go the Kickstarter route, that is completely fine. You can also go and you can start a Shopify store. In order to have a Shopify store, you're going to be kind of playing a logistics game. And by that I mean, you're going to be purchasing a minimum order quantity number, which turns into your inventory for the product. Now, you might house that inventory in your basement. You might house that inventory in your warehouse. You might house that inventory with a fulfillment provider. So we have a sponsor of the YouTube video, Fulfillrite, who has a really great checklist that basically goes through everything you need to know about shipping, order fulfillment, everything that comes with that, right? So if you're interested, you can go download the free checklist that goes into order fulfillment and shipping. And whether or not you're looking to use a fulfillment company, really valuable. And I also help them put that together. So I kind of have my touch on that, if you will. So you could also have a fulfillment company send out these orders to your products, process returns, etc. What ends up happening is you sort of adopt this whole new set of problems if you do fulfillment yourself. So you have to do returns, you got to do barcodes, you got to figure out shipping, you got to take this stuff to the post office, right? So that's why a lot of e-commerce business owners will actually end up using a fulfillment company. Is it takes your time off of fulfilling orders and you can actually focus on the most important parts of a business. If you're doing the traditional model, you would have a Shopify store or a WordPress WooCommerce store, and you'd be selling it there. So that's kind of like the storefront, if you will, that's collecting orders. You have analytics, all that kind of stuff that passes to your database, where then you're seeing the orders come in and then you go and ship them out, right? Or you have a fulfillment company do that. That's really how that would work. Now, I said it was a logistical game, right? What do I mean by that? I mean, at a certain point in time, your inventory is gonna start to run low. So you're always having to forecast, like, what is my inventory needs going to be in the future? What is the minimum order quantity that the factory demands? So you're playing this game of like, okay, I gotta buy all this new inventory and then I gotta hope it sells, right? Or the inventory I have is moving very slowly. How do I speed this up? At what point do I then order more inventory, right? So you're playing this game always of your inventory is slowly depleting when you need more. What happens if there's a massive spike, like with COVID, and all of your products go out the window, and then it's like, oh no, I gotta get more inventory very quickly. What happens if the boat that's coming over dies or falls in a shipwreck, right? Or you can't do air freight because the costs are too high. So you're always dealing with logistics of getting products from your manufacturer to the fulfillment company or to yourself, and then shipping those out to your customers who are around the world. This is a logistical problem and something that as an e-commerce owner you should be aware of. You could also hire people as well if you make enough in order to help you with these kinds of needs. Okay, so let's get into the final stage here that I want to cover, which is for beginner. How do you build a brand? What even is a brand? Like, people always throw out that term, oh, build a brand. But like, I struggle to understand that, right? What is a brand? A brand is very simply repeated experiences that your customers have with your product or with your company, and the way in which those repeated experiences become memories. And the more memories you create, the more the person has a sense or a feeling of what your brand is. Take, for example, Target. Every time I've gone into Target, I bought stuff. It wasn't too much of a hassle. It's kind of generic stuff. It's pretty cheap. I'm never breaking the bank when I go into Target, and people are usually very friendly, the customer service, and then, I can do returns. It's like a normal store, right? When I go into Target, I have the emotional experience of it being pretty cheap. So I have an expectation based on memory or based on marketing. Number two, when I go through the checkout experience, I have a decent, good experience. It's pretty fast. I've never had too many issues with Target or anything like that. So it's fast, it's easy to go and get something, and they pretty much have everything you need, right? So if I'm ever wondering, like, will they have something? Chances are they usually have it. So what that does is, because of my experiences with the marketing of the brand, and also because of my experiences actually in the store buying things and using the products that were sold in the store, and obviously Target is retailing like a lot of the stuff, I create a set of memories in my mind. And every time I think about Target, I bring back those memories to the forefront of my head. And that is what the brand is for me. And then what's so interesting is, everyone has their own individual experiences with Target, but it's kind of the collective experiences that make up what the brand value is. So if you have thousands of people who've had a positive experience with a particular company, with the products, etc., that then has brand capital, because anytime that company puts their logo on something, the customer is going to associate their memories and experiences with that particular new product. For example, this is actually, I think, changing, but when I was first getting into buying Apple products, they were like top of the line. They were so good, really good. Steve Jobs was at the helm. And I would pretty much buy any Apple product that came out because I knew it was durable. I knew it was good. I knew eventually I needed it, right? And I would never question like almost buying an Apple product if I had the money, of course. Nowadays, that's not the case because I bought phones that scratch when they used to not. I've had computers that I'm like, really? I spent $2,000 on this and like it's not better. And I've kind of questioned my own experiences with the company. And I think a lot of that obviously has to do with like leadership, honestly. Like getting into like credit cards, like well, that makes no sense to me. So over time, your brand experience can change. And if you have repeated negative experiences that go contrary to it, then your perception changes of that company and thus the brand itself changes. So for you as an e-commerce store creator, your brand is built from interactions with strangers having micro experiences with your company. So that could be things like customer service. That could be things like seeing your marketing on Facebook, messages that they send to your Facebook page, comments or content that they see in their feed, your Instagram posts, etc., emails that they're getting from you, the videos that they see on YouTube or other mediums. They're having a set of micro experiences, first of all, with your marketing. And the marketing sort of frames expectations. So if you're framing an expectation of being, this is a ritzy brand, like really beautifully designed, high quality, expensive, when they go into a store, or in your case, they go on your website, they're going to expect that they're going to be paying a premium because of the marketing. When you go into like a Burberry store, right? Or you're going to a really expensive store, you expect it to be expensive. Now, the other part of the brand experience comes with when they actually buy stuff. So like the packaging, the look and feel of the package insert, when they open the thing up, how the product is presented, right? All these kinds of things will factor into the brand experience. And then of course, when they use it, what is it actually like? Do they enjoy it? If they decide they want to return it, how easy is that? That eventually is what creates an experience. And the more experiences that customers have in a positive light, the more they're willing to buy on impulse from anything you release, right? So I've had people I've written 10 books over the course of my life so far. And I have people who, no matter what book I release, they buy it, right? Because they've had such good experiences with my work before that they know if I'm releasing it, it's probably pretty good. That's an example of a customer experience. And that's kind of just bread and butter how marketing works with e-commerce. And I promise you, it is almost the only thing that you need to get right. If someone has an experience with your store, and as a result of having that experience throughout the course of the year, let's just say they buy a product in January, throughout the course of the year, that positive experiences causes them to have multiple interactions with your store and even refer other people to you. That's when virality happens. Because if one person has a good experience, and let's just say they refer 2 other friends, and each of those friends is having 3 interactions with your store, they're buying 3 times from you per year, and then those 3 friends are recommending 2 other friends. So it's an exponential effect. That's when you see rapid growth. You see like an upward trend in your sales and an upward trend in visitors. It's an up and to the right or up and to the left trend, which is called exponential growth. More of like a linear growth is like one person refers one friend, they have 1 interaction with your store per year. One friend refers another friend, 1 interaction per year. It's a much slower growth pattern. But when you see a product take off, that is the reason. It's because of positive experiences with the brand, positive emotional experiences. I'm going to cap this off with one final note, which is what happens if you get this wrong or you only fulfill one part of this equation. So we talked about the equation being marketing brand experience and order fulfillment, delivering on your promises brand experience. If you only do part of this, you're going to have what was kind of like the Fire Festival. I don't know if you ever watched this Netflix documentary, but this guy put on this massive festival. He marketed it super well, like really well. Had like models there, very ritzy looking, amazing marketing and design and stuff like that. And so many people showed up, right? So he did the first part, which was expectations, brand building, awareness. He did that really well. He didn't do the second part so well. So it turned into a massive nightmare. People wanted refunds. Obviously, no one got refunds. And like, it was just a major train wreck. And of course, no one is going to buy from that person again or any other kind of festival that they're going to launch, because trust has been broken. Their expectations were broken. They had a negative experience, and that is almost like a traumatic memory for them, where it's always going to be associated not only with that company, Fire Festival, but also with the person who actually put it on, right? So they're going to be so much less trusting of that in the future. So you have to do both of these. Think of it almost as like a seesaw. You can't just have one, up in the air. You got to have a balance of marketing, brand experience, and also fulfillment. And if you do both of these, you can virtually guaranteed be successful as an e-commerce entrepreneur, even if you are a beginner. It doesn't matter if you have your own product, you're selling other people's. I hope that really was like a crash course for you and shared with you a lot of stuff that people don't really dissect or get into nitty-gritty in other YouTube videos that I've watched. I hope you liked it, and if you did, you want to talk about your own e-commerce store, go and book a one-on-one coaching call with me. It will save you so much time, save you so much hassle. It will save you lots of money as well, maybe going with services that aren't really good fit for you, or different tools and resources, and you're wasting your time. This is really bringing on a mentor to help you set up this business. This is something that I do professionally. So if you want to do that, book a one-on-one coaching call with me down below. Or you can go to crowdcrux.com/coaching and you can book a one-on-one coaching call there. Hope you enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up if you did. Leave a comment down below. Come subscribe if you want more content like this. Again, my name is Salvador, and I will see you next time.